This is as close as we can get to the base of the World Trade Center. You can see the firemen assembled here, the police officers, FBI agents, and you can see the two towers. A huge explosion now, raining debris on all of us. We better get out of the way.
The top portion of which is collapsing. Good Lord.
There are no words that can describe this.
And the people who knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Saddam Hussein and his weapons are a direct threat to this country.
Iraq is in possession of weapons of mass destruction, contrary to their promises.
We know they have weapons of mass destruction. We know they have active programs.
Next phase, Saddam Hussein?
Absolutely.
One person close to the debate said to me this week that it's no longer a question of if, it's a question of how we go after Saddam Hussein.
Many of us are convinced that Saddam Hussein will acquire nuclear weapons fairly soon.
Facing clear evidence of peril, we cannot wait for the final proof, the smoking gun that could come in the form of a mushroom cloud.
There will always be some uncertainty about how quickly he can acquire a nuclear weapon, but we don't want the smoking gun to be a mushroom cloud.
Is there a smoking gun?
The smoking gun is an interesting phrase.
Weapons of mass destruction in the hands of Saddam Hussein, plus his known contact with terrorists, including al-Qaeda terrorists, is simply a threat too large to continue to tolerate.
He has anthrax. He loves biological weapons. He has terrorist training camps, including 707, to practice on.
Well, now another defector, a senior Iraqi intelligence official.
A former top Iraqi nuclear scientist tells Congress Iraq could build 3 nuclear bombs by 2005.
That Saddam Hussein has trained an elite fighting force in sabotage, urban warfare, hijacking, and murder.
There are 1,200 in all. They've been trained to hijack trains, buses, ships, and so forth.
The choice is disarming him by war or letting him have these weapons of mass destruction.
Once it begins to look as though he is relinquishing his grip on power, I think he's toast.
How is your faith guiding you?
My faith sustains me because I pray daily. I pray for guidance.
Sapphire, will you wager Ms. right now that Saddam will be out of power by the end of 2002?
Absolutely. I'll see you here a year from now.
The defector is telling Moussaoui that in order to evade the UN inspectors, Saddam Hussein put his biological weapons laboratories in trucks.
Refrigerator trucks.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
And how many?
7.
It is clear, however, that if left unchecked, Saddam Hussein will continue to increase his capacity to wage biological and chemical warfare.
And we will not allow any terrorist or tyrant to threaten civilization with weapons of mass murder.
The intelligence community believes that Saddam Hussein has deadly stocks of anthrax, of botulinum toxin, which is one of the most virulent poisons known to man.
And will keep trying to develop nuclear weapons.
Even Oprah got in on the act.
And what we know for a fact from a number of defectors who've come out of Iraq over the years is that Saddam Hussein is absolutely determined to acquire nuclear weapons and is building them as fast as he can.
And so, do the Iraqi people want the American people to liberate them?
Absolutely.
I hope that doesn't offend you.
When one guest dared to express doubt, Oprah would have none of it.
And I just don't know what to believe with the media.
We're not trying to show you propaganda. We're just showing you what is. We're just showing you what is. Okay, but okay, you have a right to your opinion. You know
right.
I will call those who publicly criticize their country in a time of military crisis, which this is, bad Americans.
I have heard no persuasive evidence that Saddam is on the threshold of acquiring the nuclear weapons he has sought for more than 20 years. And the administration has offered no persuasive evidence that Saddam would transfer chemical or biological weapons of mass destruction to al-Qaeda.
But we now know that Saddam has resumed his efforts to acquire nuclear weapons.
The Iraqi regime possesses biological and chemical weapons.
We do have solid evidence of the presence in Iraq of al-Qaeda members.
The regime has long-standing and continuing ties to terrorist organizations.
Proven menace like Saddam Hussein, in possession of weapons of mass destruction.
They did indeed have a contact between Atta and an Iraqi diplomat.
He has been seeking to acquire the kinds of tubes that are necessary to build a centrifuge, which is what you have to have in order to build a bomb.
The test here is not whether they can find something. The test is whether or not Iraq is going to cooperate.
And we just can't keep hunting and pecking.
It's about the disarmament of Iraq, not about weapons inspectors hunting and pecking all over the country.
We don't need the moral support of anyone because we're on the side of the angels in this.
A single drop of VX on the skin will kill in minutes.
Secretary of State Colin Powell has given a lot of important speeches in his lifetime.
What I want to bring to your attention today is the potentially much more sinister nexus between Iraq and the al-Qaeda terrorist network.
In the United Nations Security Council this morning, the Secretary of State Colin Powell took almost an hour and a half to make the Bush administration's case against Saddam Hussein.
A nexus that combines classic terrorist organizations and modern methods of murder.
A masterful legal summary, a powerful case, an ironclad case.
Good morning, shock and awe.
Operation Iraqi Freedom. America at war.
Anyone who hurts this country in a time like this, well, let's just say you will be spotlighted.
War with Iraq before a genuine attempt at inspection and disarmament, or without genuine international support, could trigger an escalation in terrorist acts.
The number of American troops killed in Iraq now exceeds the number of victims on 9/11. We have been fighting there longer than it took us to defeat the Nazis in World War II. The cost of the war are reckoned at $1 trillion and counting. The number of Iraqis killed, over 35,000 last year alone, is hard to pin down. The country is in chaos.
Did you have a question, or did I call upon you cold?
I have a question.
Okay. I'm sure you do have a question.